Cerrata, finally done it. After all these years, have my name on the product. This is Jamie, one of the Cerrata brothers. Hi everyone. Sounds like a circus act though, the Cerrata brothers. Flying well ended.
Yeah.
And interacting with it like it looks like a circus act as well. So, I still work for MoFi. I still am designing MoFi speakers, and that will continue. I've got some in the pipeline that are going to come out towards the end of the year and early next year. But they allowed me like day release. We struck a deal for me to allow me to do this company with completely different products. You know, I thrive on making my life difficult by creating ideas and trying to make them work. And so whenever you work for any company, you fit in with what works for that company, but you always have ideas in your head of other things you'd like to try. And I met Jamie and his brother and had this crazy idea of trying to form a speaker company to do what they and I had been interested in for a while, high efficiency speakers. The first speaker I did when I moved out to the States 32 years ago was to design the Infinity Prelude speaker, and that was 90 6 dB sensitivity. I did that with a tall tower, 4 mid bass, 2 mid range, and a high efficiency tweeter, but with a self-powered bass driver. Because one of the difficulties of getting high efficiency speakers is speakers need to be big. You got this Hoffman's iron law that says they've got 3 parameters at the very start of any speaker project. The first thing you look at is the parameters of how efficient you want it, how low the bass goes, and how big the cabinet needs to be. You can only pick 2 of those freely, the other is determined. So you pick sensitivity, you pick low frequency response, and then you get the box size. Refrigerator size in this case. It literally is almost exactly the dimensions of my refrigerator in my office. That wasn't the inspiration, it's just a coincidence. So, along with that, let me take it off so you can see. Along with that is you've got to get the driver parameters right. When you're going for high efficiency, you think, oh, just reduce cone mass, make it lighter, it's going to be more efficient. Put more motor on it, it's going to be more efficient. But it actually works against you, because if you've got the wrong combination of those, you get less bass. You get much more mid-range, but it gets less bass. And the only way to fix that, you have to bring in cone area to the equation. And there's a certain relationship with area, mass, and motor strength that gives you the correct bass alignment in that cabinet. And it wasn't until you go to a 16-inch driver with the right mass and the right motor strength that you get the right tuning parameters for that size box. A 16-inch driver would have been a bit too big, a bulkier looking speaker. So I thought, go to 2 12s, that's about the same area. So that's what we have. We got the 12-inch on the front and an additional 12-inch on the rear. So the next crazy idea is I always want to do concentric drivers, and whereas this looks rather the same as the MoFi SourcePoint 10 driver, it's actually a wholly new engineered driver. It's a different cone profile. It's a 60mm voice coil instead of 48. I'll let you do the conversion to the only country in the world that still uses it. When I moved out here, well, I know I'm spending too much time talking, but sometime in the 70s, we changed to decimal coinage, and then in science we changed from imperial to metric. Then I moved to the States to work for an American company, and I have to go back to imperial. Then I switched to a Japanese company in America, where the American engineers were working in imperial, Japanese were working in metric, and I was having to transpose between the two, and so it gets very confusing. And I forgot where I was. So
speakers.
It knows I want to be literally in the spotlight. So new cone, narrow surround because there's a dedicated mid-range, it's not a bass mid-range. And the big feature is decided to investigate field coil drivers. The very first drivers when they invented, I'm not this old, in the 20s when they invented moving coil speaker, there weren't the permanent magnets available of the strength to do what was needed to provide the magnetic field. So we used electromagnets. Put a current through a coil of wire around the steel, you've got a magnet, but you have to permanently energize it. And then in the 40s, 50s, we got Alnico, so we could finally do compact motor structures. And then came ceramic ferrite and finally neodymium. So we got better and better magnet systems, but there's an inherent problem with a permanent magnet provided by these materials compared to the field coil. That's something called flux modulation. You've got fixed field from the magnet, theoretically, and the varying field generated by the coil and react against to cause the coil to move. But the presence of that field from the coil also modulates what should be a fixed field, and that now you get distortion, modulation distortion. Field coils never suffered from that. They suffered from other things like bulk and power, but they didn't suffer from that. So I'll give that a go. So I thought, no one's done a concentric field coil driver, let me do it. And that's what set me on this path. But it wasn't so simple because I've got 2 voice coil gaps that I've got to get flux through, and it wasn't working with a single field coil. So I thought, what if I put a field coil on the tweeter in the middle and wound a field coil for the mid-range around that, and it started to work. So it took a long time to optimize that, and then prototyping it, and the driver engineer was hand winding at home in the evening the coils to try and build the prototype. But this is what we ended up with. Wow. So I'm going to throw this at you. £37 just for the mid-range. So I always used to joke, I'm going to work for Bose and just design small speakers, and I get them bigger and bigger and heavier. So anyway, I'll shut up now and play some music, because that's what all they're here for. With vinyl, I haven't shut up, CD124 DD special edition. So this is also vintage brought modern. And my first turntable was a Thorns, so it kind of worked quite well. I'm sure Jane is out there going, hasn't he started playing music yet?
I went down to St. James Infirmary, saw my baby rested there. She was stretched out on a long white table, so cold, so sweet, so fair. Let her go, let her go. God bless her. Wherever she may be, she can search this wide world over, but she'll never find a sweet man like me. Bragging. When I die, bury me in straight lace shoes and a box back suit, double breasted. Put a $20 gold piece on my watch chain. Yeah, so the boys will know that I died standing fast.
I would say it's a great recording, and that's why it sounds good. But actually, it also sounds good because it's my speakers. I'm going to switch vinyl and play. Hope I get the right side. 2A. Let's see. 2A. This is why traditionally I've always played from the streamer because I can find stuff much easier. You know, when we switched from when CD came out, a lot of people would say, "Oh, I don't like CD. The booklets are so small, you can't and tiny, you can't read anything." Well, when you get to this age, you can't read it on a vinyl anyway. So.
You were just another sideshow in a backstreet carnival. And I was walking the high wire, trying not to fall. Just another way of getting through. Anyone would do, but it was you. And you were just another sideshow, and I was trying not to fall. But you were tender as soft summer wind. Someone to remember when the cold closes in. You were a color to the moon. You were flowers come to bloom with a sweet perfume. And you were tender as soft summer wind.
I won't play all of the track because I'm trying to get a variety. Jamie, he's in music publishing, so he's saying, so what's the format for the show? How do we do this? Do we play a whole album? Hell no. A side? No. A track? Maybe. It just depends how many people are in and what we're trying to do. So.
Who was that, Andrew? Was that J.J. Cale, or? I thought it was Mark Knopfler at the beginning, but then it didn't sound like it.
No, it's Alan Taylor. I thought it was Knopfler when I first played it. Then it went up and oh no, it's now I remember it's Alan Taylor. So I'll switch that out after I've started playing some. You think I've had this down pat by the end of the show, but that wasn't a so.
I left my hometown, baby. There'll be big things going down. I left my hometown, baby. There'll be big things going down. What I see ain't so pretty. Surely drag me on down. I hit the city, baby. Streets be paved with gold. I hit the city, baby. Streets be paved with gold.
These lights, it's like proximity detector or something. I have to walk up. They're not all there, which I'm not quite as well.
What's the price point on these?
33,900. So next, I'm going to play acoustic bass. The surprise is I'm not playing.
Question: both drivers are field quote, or is the bass non-field quote?
All right, very good
The
demo.
bass is needed in